Hi there, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have this makeup tutorial for you guys on how to achieve this look right here using all matte eyeshadows for a sultry smoky eye. So if you're interested in seeing how I achieved this look, then please keep watching. Alright guys, so we're gonna start off with a bare clean face. I'm going to just put my hair back with a little hair tie. Thought it would be nice to do just like a sit down chatty sort of makeup tutorial. I know that I've been stepping back from the makeup tutorials pretty recently, so I thought it would be interesting to do something new here. So yeah, let's get into it. So my face is clean. I just took a shower and I cleansed my face of any makeup that I had from the morning time, and I also have moisturizer on. So that is that. I'm gonna do the eyes first. I just zoomed the camera in slightly more, just a little bit more, just so you guys can see a little bit better. So I'm gonna use an eyeshadow primer. I'm using the Sigma eyeshadow base primer, and this is in the shade Persuade, which is a light pinky shade. And I'm gonna use like this Real Techniques buffing brush just to get some product on there. And I'm going to apply this all over my lid from my lash line to my brow bone. So I haven't been able to film as many videos or post as many videos. Well, first off, I started being inconsistent with that because of my facial business. So it's been really busy the past couple of months, so I haven't been able to film videos. For starters, I was irregular because of that. But then things got worse because my computer, my laptop was not reading my SD card, so I couldn't transfer the footage from my camera to my computer to edit the video. So it was this whole thing, and I was getting that resolved for like a month. So that's why you guys hadn't seen a lot of videos from me in like a month or so. But I was able to get it worked out. I'm using a different laptop to update my information or my video footage. So there's a workaround right now. It's a little bit more difficult for me, but it's just a workaround for now until I can get the laptop to work. So I'm thinking that for my makeup today, I want to do like a matte kind of smoky, sultry eye. I'm not sure if I've done that in a while, but I think it would be kind of cute just to have something all matte and like browns and smoky. So yeah, let's get into it. I'm going to be using the KVD Shade and Light eyeshadow palette. I don't even know if this still exists, but I use it very often. I've had it for a very long time. So I'm going to be using this today. Anything that you have that looks similar to these shades would work as well. I'll be pointing out to you guys what I'm using so that you can see and follow along with whatever you have at home. So since I have the eyeshadow base on, I kind of just like tap it through slightly with my finger to make sure that it's not tacky. I let it just like dry into a powdery finish, and then I'll go in with the eyeshadows. I'm taking a Morphe M433 brush. It's a smaller sort of blending brush. And I'm gonna first go in with this really warm brown that's sort of like a medium to dark brown. And I tap off my brush so I don't get too much product. But I'm gonna start mapping out my crease with this shade, and not doing too much blending. I'm just gonna apply the product first. So I'm first applying it on my outer corner of my eyes because that's where I want the most product deposited. Just kind of like patting it into the crease, as you can see. I want to make sure that I'm depositing the color in there. The purpose of this step is not to blend, and at first you're going to be like, wow, that looks patchy and weird, but as we go working through it, you'll see that it's all going to work out. So just kind of like go patting it, and then if you feel comfortable just blending in the shade, just go like, you know, blending in everything to make sure you don't see any patches there. Now that we have this shape going on, and right now it looks a little crazy, we have to blend it out, but we're gonna blend it out in the next step. Just first, I'm gonna go ahead and do the same on this side before I go in with my blending step. Okay, so now that we look a little bit crazy, kind of look like we belong, I don't know, in the Addams family or something, we have this shape on the eyes, sort of like, you know, darker here, and then it is going inwards and getting smaller, sort of like a cat eye shape, if you see, because a cat eye is kind of like goes up here and then goes in thinner, right? So sort of like that situation. So now that we have that down, I'm gonna take a slightly lighter and warmer shade. I'm gonna take this really warm shade, and I'm taking it on a more fluffy blending brush. This is a Morphe M441, patting off any excess, and I'm going to use this to blend the crease shades. Usually I start on the outer corner and blend inwards because I want most color to be on the outer portion. And then just go building up the color and be patient with it, you know, go blending it out, put on some music because you will want to blend it out for a little bit just to make sure that you don't have any harsh edges or anything like that. And then as I go to the outer corner, I will sort of start like feathering the outer corners upwards. And then if you want to, you can just go in with the brush that you used before just to sort of darken up or clean up any areas that you feel like the pigmentation has shifted slightly. So right now we're looking a little funky, but it's fine. We're gonna work through it, right? And just making sure that you blend after every step, just so that you can have a nice blend and you don't have any sharp edges. So next what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this brownish shade here. We're going kind of like a darkest to lightest here. So this one is slightly lighter, and I'm gonna take that on the brush that I used before, the Morphe M433 brush, and I'm going to apply this in the middle portion of my eyelid. So I'm working from the middle to outwards in the outer corners, just kind of patting it in to make sure that I get most pigmentation, but also blending it into the outer corner shade. And if you want to blend it into the crease, that's fine as well. These are all kind of like matte shades that blend together, so that's totally fine if you want to do that. I'm using a more fluffy brush for the lid shades just because since they're a little bit matte, they don't tend to blend as easily as maybe like a shimmer or apply as easily as a shimmer. So it's nice to use like a fluffy brush just to get a nice light application, and then you can sort of manipulate the product easier to wherever you want it to go. Okay, so then I'm just gonna clean off my brush slightly so that I don't have as much product on it. And I'm gonna take the lightest shade that we're gonna go in with, and I'm gonna apply that to the inner portion of my eyes and blend that into the middle and up into the crease area here. And if you want to work it outwards of the crease, that's fine as well. It'll probably help blend out the crease. I feel like I have a little bit of patchiness over here, so I'm going to just use a slight brow bone highlight to help diminish the appearance of that. So I'm going to take a shade that's kind of lighter than my skin tone, like this one here. It's a matte shade, and I'm just going to apply that to my brow bone, and it's going to help highlight the brow bone. And then you see like you have that weird white there, but if you go in with your blending brush to blend that out, that white shade there that we applied as our brow bone highlight will help everything kind of blend a little easier, and you also have a really nice brow bone highlight. Alright, so at this point I'm going to apply my liquid liner. I'm using MAC Brush Black Brush Stroke 24-hour liner, and the shade is that Brush Black. So it's just like a really nice black felt tip, or like a liquid tip liner, and I'm just going to line my eyes. So just to kind of help like the lash line look a tiny bit smoky, I'm gonna wait a few minutes for my eyeliner to dry before I do this following step. But what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna take this angled brush. This is a Sephora number 20 brush, and I'm gonna take the black shade from this palette, which as you can see I use a lot, but I'm gonna take that shade right there, and after a few minutes that it's dried down, I'm just going to apply that really closely to my lash line right over where I applied my liner. And you're gonna get fallout with this step. It's really normal to get that fall down there. So that's why I did my foundation last or after my eyes. That way, if there's any fallout, it doesn't mess up our base. So I usually recommend that if you're gonna be using with like a smoky eye type thing, probably do your foundation after. Okay, so with that same angled brush and that black shade, I'm going to just run it slightly in my tight line, just because my tight line tends to be a little bit more visible than everyone else's, and I kind of don't like that you can see the skin there. So I'm going to just slightly pat this into the tight line. So then I'm also going to take that black and run it in my waterline. Alright, so now that we've got black all over our eyes, which tends to happen when you are using so much black eyeshadow, I'm going to take some micellar water on a little cotton pillow and just kind of clean that up there. So I'm going to move on to the skin very quickly. I'm going to use the Rare Beauty Always an Optimist Illuminating Primer, and mainly applying this on the high points of my face, like my cheeks, my forehead, and then whatever I have left over I will run on the tip of my nose. Next, I'm taking the IT Cosmetics buffing brush, and for my foundation I'm using a Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation and the shade Shell Ivory. I'm just gonna use it directly with the applicator on my face because this is mine and no one else uses this. So yeah, I don't really mind that much. So yeah, I feel like it's a little bit too light. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do like some cream bronzing here. I'm using a Ben Nye matte foundation in the shade Lay. It's a few shades darker than my skin tone, but also kind of like a bronzy shade. So I'm just gonna apply that on the outer portions of my face. Then I'm just gonna take my beauty blender and just make sure, it's not even a beauty blender. Maybe I shouldn't say beauty blender because this is one off Amazon. But I'm gonna just use my sponge to blend everything through. So taking this Makeup Forever palette that has cream blushes on this side, I'm taking this mauve shade on my sponge, and I'm just building that color up here. Not going too crazy with that cream blush. We're gonna put on blush after, but just to give us a little bit of color, I'm gonna take my concealer next using the Rare Beauty concealer, and I'm going to apply that. So I'm going to first use like a little brush to blend out my concealer, and then as I move it around slightly, I'll switch over to the beauty blender or the sponge just to make sure everything is blended. So as you see, I have it somewhat placed in the area that I want, and then I will just blend it through with the sponge. I'm going to take KVD Vegan Beauty brush and just a little bit of our CMA translucent powder to set the concealer under our eyes, and also a little bit here where I have some shininess. I'm going to take a little bit of MAC Studio Fix powder in the shade NW22, and I'm just going to apply that where I want slightly more coverage because I have a few breakouts here around my mouth area. And then I have a MAC Studio Fix powder in the shade C40, and so this is a few shades darker and cooler than my skin tone. So I'm taking that on a tapered brush. This is Bdellium Tools 974 brush, and I'm just going to use this around the perimeter of my face to start adding in some color. So I'm going to take a little bit of my blending brush that I used for my eyeshadow before, and I'm taking that on that bronzer shade that I used, and I'm just going to run this slightly into my crease here just to make sure that my eyeshadow is blended. And I will also, on anything that's left over my brush, I'll run it under my eyes. Just want to make sure that our eyeshadow has a nice blended smoky effect. And then I also am going to run some slightly on the sides of my nose here. Not too much, just like slightly, just so that everything is kind of like tied together. All right, I went ahead and did my brows off camera just because that's same old, but this is what we're looking like. I'm going to do a little bit of bronzing now. I'm using an ABH contour kit. And I'm just going to apply with that same Delium Tools tapered brush and just lightly bronzing my face slightly, a little bit more because I felt like we needed a little bit more of like a bronze. I'm going to also apply some blush. This is Tarte Amazonian Clay 12-Hour Blush in the shade Partey. And I'm going to apply that with a Morphe M405 brush. And just kind of patting it upwards into my hairline and my bronzer. So now that we've got that down, I'm going to slightly highlight. This is a Tarte Skin Twinkle highlight just on the tops of my cheekbones. And I do want to take a slightly fluffier brush, and I'm going to take that same highlight, like a fluffy blending brush type thing, and I'm going to run that on my brow bone here, on just the high point of my brow bone. Cool. So that's pretty cute. Okay, I'm going to just curl my lashes really quickly, and then I'm going to apply my mascara. And for my mascara, I'm using Maybelline the Rocket Volume Express mascara. And I'm also just going to run a little bit of this Estee Lauder Sumptuous Extreme mascara just on top of that other one. I always mix mascaras for whatever reason. Alright, and then for my lipstick, you guys know I always do like a combination of like 30 different lip shades, so that's what we're doing. I'm going to do lip liner first. This is LA Girl Ultimate Lip Liner in the shade Forever Bare. Okay, so now we've got our lip line on, I'm going to use, this is a Smashbox Be Legendary lipstick in the shade Stylist Matte. And then over top, I'm going to use MAC Velvet Teddy, which is down to a little bit, but we love it. And then I'm going to top it off with just a nude gloss. I'm just going to blot it slightly because I feel like the gloss made it a little too glossy. Then that is the finished look. It is super cute. I'm just gonna let my hair go. But yeah, this is the finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you do end up recreating this look, just make sure that you tag me on social media, on Instagram. I'm always on there checking you guys' comments. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye bye now.